See, hey, ladies.
Hi, hi.
How's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
Good, but I
Good,
can't see
ladies.
you.
You can't see me?
I can't see Dr. Tiana.
Oh, I can't see her yet either.
Okay, there you go.
No, there she is.
Um, Let me see something. My computer totally reset everything, so
Oh,
I
okay.
wasn't
Okay.
able
Do
to
they?
add
Oh, you're fine.
Instagram or anything today.
Oh,
So,
okay. You're on
um,
again.
yeah, I need to fix my background because I'm moving and I don't want the regular background. All right, so listen, we are joining today to talk a lot about really inviting more of you into our experience or our in person experience for wealthy and worthy. So let me see. Let me make sure I have this right. Um, all right, I'm not gonna stress about this today because I don't have the fortitude to worry about it right now. So listen, we're gathering today for Wealthy and Worthy Wednesday. So if you're new here, welcome. We're so glad to have you.
Hi.
If you are one of our oldie but goodies, welcome. We're super glad to have you as well. We are always excited to have our community gather. And so today we are kind of digging into a conversation that I think many high achieving women that we work with would probably sometimes prefer to ignore. And that is the fact that success often pales when you are comparing it to healing. And it is something that I think for me, for nearly 20 years, has just been kind of at the forefront of like the career being incredibly successful, having all of the degrees, being in the leadership positions, getting the awards, the speaking invitations, doing the research, all the things, right? And by all accounts, right, I was thriving, right? But behind the scenes, right, I was exhausted. I was disconnected from myself. I was pouring into everyone else's cup, not realizing that mine continued to be empty. And an early diagnosis of breast cancer really forced me to ask a question that I think I had just avoided asking. And it was, is this enough? Like, is success enough? Is it enough to sustain me in the things that matter? And what if I had spent my life chasing success, chasing achievement, while ignoring or neglecting myself, the person who was building this success, right? And so it was a sobering reminder that success without true healing is really just a decorated cage. And it may look impressive. People may admire it. They will probably root you on and cheer for you in all the ways. They will congratulate you, even if you are trapped. And so these type of conversations are important for us to have because we are not talking or saying that we should abandon ambition. What we are saying and inviting you to do is redefine what that ambition looks like. Because I no longer believe that success is the goal. I actually believe that wholeness is the goal. And so I want us to talk about that today and get into it a little more granularly, right? Talking about it from our various perspectives. And so let's get into it, ladies, right? So as we think about, ourselves as high achieving women, many of the high achieving women that we work with, right, have bought into the lie ultimately that if they just work hard enough, if they achieve enough, if they accomplish enough, they will finally like feel like they've made it. right? They'll finally feel complete, right? And I want to hear from each of you from your own perspectives, right? Why do you think we confuse achievement with healing?
I can go. So I think we confuse achievement with healing because achievement almost feels like healing, right? It's like
Right?
it's kind of like a mask, right? It can feel like you're healing yourself because you get a high from achieving, like, okay, I have done these things, like I feel good. And I think another part of it is that we wrap our identity in achievement. And
Mm.
so when we are constantly achieving, it feels like, okay, this is how I identify myself. So who else am I outside of achievement? And I think that's the harder question that we have to answer is like, who are we outside of achievement? It can be really, really, trust me, I've had to even, ask myself
Yeah,
that. And
yeah,
I still ask myself that, right? And so
yeah,
I think this is, also it's a process, right?
yeah,
It's a process and a journey of learning to identify yourself outside of achievement, identify yourself outside the bounds of achievement. And so I think that it can feel really good, like we're chasing, just like, when you have someone who's addicted to a drug, right? They get that natural high, right?
yeah,
And it releases dopamine. And
right.
so chasing the dopamine, chasing the next great thing, it it gives us pleasure. It gives us a sense of pleasure, and it
Yeah.
can make us think that we're healing when we are really sacrificing ourselves and not um, um, giving ourselves the truth that we deserve, right?
Mm,
And
mm,
so now we are escaping the truth and the reality of what is for the sake of constantly achieving to impress who, right? It's like like what is
yeah,
the whole point, right?
yeah, yeah,
Um, and so that's when we have to really get real with ourselves and say, okay, like what is the purpose? Like where is this coming from? And really and that is when we can really go through the process of healing, when we understand, okay, where is it coming from and what is the purpose of all this? And just like, what is the purpose of life, right? Who am I and like, who am I becoming are the questions
mm,
that we have to ask ourselves. And
yeah,
so it is, and I think it really never stops, right? I think it is a journey. I don't think it's like a destination. Like, okay, like I'm healed, I'm totally healed, because
okay.
there's going to be distractors that come in our way. And we
Right.
have to be able to look inward and decide, okay, this is the new path that I'm on. Like this old path is not working for me, and this is the new path. And giving ourselves the okay that, all right, okay, this job, this career is no longer works, and you move on to a next thing.
Yeah,
And maybe that may not work either. And
yeah,
so constantly reassessing, reevaluating how are you looking at yourself from a achievement versus healing perspective.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so it is an ongoing journey, something we kind of have to keep our eye on, and check back in with ourselves, but also being honest
Yeah.
about where we are and
Absolutely.
what's not working. Like what's not working.
So true.
Jeannie or Stephanie, what do y'all got?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I thank you for that. I mean, Dr. J so eloquently made this shift into the understanding that ambition becomes an identity, right? And what happens when your ambition becomes your identity, which is this all stops being about something I have, right? I'm an ambitious person to like this core understanding of who I am as a person. And when you have that, when you're locked in that way, it really becomes a very difficult thing to distinguish that one, I'm using ambition or I'm using achievement as a barometer for healing and wellness, right? Many people confuse the two because they're like, well, here's what healing would be. In healing, I would feel stable, I would feel secure, I would feel good enough, I would feel
Okay.
accepted by my peers, I would receive the type of validation and feedback from others that I've made it, right? Isn't
Yeah.
that what wellness is? That I'm
Yeah.
happy and I'm stable, and the people in my societal perspective and my societal makeup are saying, you're it, you're there. Very
Yeah.
easy to confuse that, right? But it
Yeah.
isn't that. And it's rarely is achievement and ambition a psychological experience that happens in a singular space, right? It's something that is a conscious decision that you make over and over again in small part. It's um sleep's optional because I got to get this done. It's
Mm,
anxiety. It's people using the language of like anxiety is my superpower. It's like I'm out here
mm,
trying to cure this, and you're like it's a superpower. All right, to each his
yeah.
own. If that's what you have to do to make that acceptable to you, great. The anxiety that
Yeah.
I've experienced in my life has not been my superpower. It has been the
Right.
disconnector from me to my life. It has been the
Mm,
initiator of this understanding that I am in terror and I am in fear and I am under threat in moments where I am not under threat and I am not in terror and I am not in fear, but because
mm,
something mimics that dynamic, I'm experiencing the same thing I feel if someone
yeah.
were actually attacking me. It is not my
Wow.
superpower. It is something
Right.
I am hoping in my lifetime to cure.
Right.
But got it. It rarely becomes, right? It's rarely this
Yeah.
like I'm just deciding. No, it's this gradual giving away. It's this gradual narrative that gets created. And so, yes,
Mm,
these things get confusing. We start to think, oh, this is my wellness, society says. And also, it's a method for when we're inside of achievement, it's a method for excusing certain types of behaviors, right? You've seen very successful people who've who people believe are well. People who are very
mhm.
thin are assumed to have great practices, right? Oh,
Yeah.
she's thin. She must be well. She must be taking great care of herself.
Yeah. Yeah.
People who have lots of money. Oh, he must be smart. Oh, he's a genius. She
Yeah.
must have a better understanding and conception of life. There's a deep positivity and a deep misconception that being an achiever and being able to achieve means that you are well. So it's conflated societally. Like these things, they run extremely deep psychologically. So yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
Jeez.
The,
Woo.
we all
That's
get
deep.
confused. It's not even the
Yeah.
layperson getting confused. We have it
Absolutely.
even as a psychologist, it took so, or as a therapist, and in the world, immersed in the world of psychology, immersed in the
Yeah.
world of mental health, still is like, whew, man, there you unpack this for a second, and all the layers start coming apart. So,
Yeah.
in summation, it's why is there confusion? Because the staples of wellness can look like a lot of what you receive when you achieve.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Come on, way to break it down. Okay. That's beautiful. Yes, 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 yes. So, all of that to say, right? If you are watching this and you're here, or you're watching this back on the replay, right? There's no shame in feeling like, oh, I have mislabeled these things, or, I have incorrectly assumed that this was a good thing and it's really like to my detriment, right? There's no shame about it because we've all done it, which is why we're all here. And we're all actively working at unlearning those things and also recognizing those societal programmings that reinforce our confusion and our, I think, it, our frequency to marry identity with activity and productivity. Those things are often very much intertwined in a societal context. And it's our jobs to slow down, as Dr. J said, assess and figure out what that needs to look like for us. Stephanie, you got anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, because as we were talking about achievement, I'm not going to leave you hanging, Dr. J, because I'm also still working through this myself, so I can totally relate.
Yeah.
I think for me, achievement is literally the only thing that I can control because I can't control grief. I can't control pain, I can't control loss, but I can control how
Mm.
well or how much I achieve. And I actually was thinking about, I'm not, you know, exactly, it wasn't a positive experience, but I had an observation some years ago when my dad was in the hospital. There was a waiting room full of Black women. And do you know what one thing we had in common while all of our loved ones were in the hospital? We all were
Working.
in there, yes, with our
They're all
laptops
working.
working, yes. And in that moment, I'm just like, what is wrong with us? Like, literally, why are we taking Zoom calls? Why are we doing PowerPoint presentations? Why are we doing all of these things while our loved ones are in the hospital? I mean, we were in the ICU unit, so even worse, right? And so, what it dawned on me in that moment was that the reason why we're doing it is because we can't control what's going to happen to our loved ones, but we can control showing up for work. Did we probably show up
Wow.
tired? Maybe someone read through it.
Wow.
Absolutely. But because we live in this world that ultimately rewards achievement or even just celebrates Black women being such high achievers, we feel like that's the only thing that we're known for. And so if that's what we're known for, why not just keep achieving while our lives could be, simultaneously falling apart?
Jesus.
That's good. Yeah.
Ooh-wee, Stephanie, you hit on so many gems on that one. Yeah, that the thing of control and trust, right? It is something that I think I feel like it's so sneaky and it shows up in so many insidious ways that we don't always even recognize it. Like even today, right? I'm teaching a class. I'm teaching trading, right? Options trading. And I had a group this morning, and all of these women, highly competent, wildly, just wickedly smart, right? And to watch them see the process be so simple and to watch them not trust it was wild to me. Like I literally just paused because I was like, this is when you get in. This is when you capture the profit, right? But that mistrust and feeling like you can't control what the market is doing, which you can't, is so disorienting for them. That I literally after the class for like an hour, I was like pondering, like, how can I help them? I don't know what else to do to help that, to ease that desire to want to control it, but then also to ease the fear of not trusting and just being like, whatever unfolds, I can handle it. Whatever unfolds, I have support. I have, a village of people who can rally behind me and to support me as I stumble in this new thing, right? It is really, I think going into it, I thought, oh yeah, I can teach high earning women how to trade, right? And that is the easy part, right? It is the healing work that needs to be done that is making it really challenging for me and my team. Like I'm just like, I don't know what to do with that. Like, which is why, we offer support services to our community, right? And they're connected to providers like Jeannie for therapy, because we're like, hey, it's 90% mental. 10% of it is technical. I can teach you the technical part, but it's this other 90% that only you can manage, right? And so it sucks for me to even watch it, because I'm like, do you know how much money you could be making? And you wouldn't even be having to have multiple jobs or hustling or any of that. Like, just come on to the other side. But it's literally like a brick wall. And it's like, I don't know what to do to tear it down. And so that was also one of the like impetuses of this topic this week, because I'm like, we need to talk about this. We have to talk about this, because I don't even know how to help, like it's really a hard thing.
No, I mean, it is. I so admire that you consistently are in this place of wanting solutions and discussing solutions. And I think that's an important pivot, right? This idea of like, we can identify the issue to some degree. We can
Yeah.
talk about these things, get into rooms with women who are having these high level conversations. And it's great to have conversation, but the best of the world and right and why we're doing wealthy and worthy is so that we create solutions, and that these solutions are solutions that are palatable. These are solutions that are very clear about here is your way forward. And we have to start,
Yes.
we have to identify the rules beneath the behaviors. That's how I begin structuring and creating the skeleton of the work that's necessary related to this issue, right? I have
Yeah.
to understand the person's core beliefs because they have them. And they're, for Black women, they are strong and we are like, we are groomed inside of a perspective that says you have to be so deeply loyal to the things that you believe, making it like even sometimes when other evidence will come in that suggests, actually, I need to drop this. No, I'm not dropping this. I need to be loyal to the values, to the models that I received as a kid, because that's the only thing that is safe. The world around us has been so unsafe, so
Right.
insecure, so terribly scrutinizing and critical that, like, what my mom said to me has got to be law, has got to be it.
Yeah.
What my auntie told me, what my uncles told me, what my family has said to me, or what the people who were there and raised me up taught me has to be law. And so unlearning that is a really very difficult thing. So like identifying the rules is pivotal, right? If I think rest has got to be earned or money has got to be earned through hard work, here's a beautiful, intelligent doctor coming in who's studied these things, who's telling me, no, that's not the reality. Here is a method for you to have some level of ease. Is it risk-free? No, it's not risk-free.
Yeah. Right.
However, I'm going to help you mitigate the risk. I'm going to help
Yes.
you. I'm going to create a
Exactly.
framework for you that's going to hold you up. And they're like, no,
Yes.
money
That's
has to be earned the hard way.
exactly right.
That's a
And then
rule.
I have people who are like, "Oh, I'm gonna drop out so I can work my 9 to 5," and I'm like, "What?"
I'll make more
I'm like,
money.
"What are you talking about?"
I'll make more money and have more security through the 9 to 5. So then I can get back to this and do this without having to worry because I've done the hard work stuff. So now I've earned that I
The
can
easy.
maybe earn money in an
Yes.
more
Oh
easeful
my
way.
gosh, Jay.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness. You just solved my riddle, okay? Because I sure have just been like, I don't know what this is. Like, I don't know what this is. And I think, I mean, I know that I used to think that way as well, right? So there's a part of me that I'm like, no, I get that, but this is actually what I know to be true now, right? Like I have a lot of fun, and anytime I have fun, I make more money, And so I'm like,
yeah, doctor, you're a researcher.
true.
You're a researcher, in the brain of a researcher, of an academic, right?
Yeah.
Of the nerds of the world, especially the
Yeah.
Black nerds of the world, is
Yeah.
such that I'm looking to disprove myself. I'm looking to disprove me.
Right.
You are constantly
Right.
engaging with your world in the same way Steph is, in the same
Yep.
way that Dr. J is, in the same way that
Right.
I am, in a way
Right.
that's like, there are all these rules that were created for me when I was a kid. There are all these like these safeguards that were created for me. And I have learned that they are holding me back. And inside
Right.
of researcher brain, inside of like a
Yes.
student of the world, I have now decided no more. I'm going to disprove those things. I'm not looking to prove myself
Yes.
right that money must be earned and that my
Right.
value only comes when I'm useful and that other
Yes.
people's needs should always become something that I prioritize above mine. I'm looking literally to disprove that now. I have
Right.
lived in the life that was real,
Yes.
and I'm
Yeah.
no longer inside
Yeah.
of that. I want to
Yeah.
create from a space that looks different from that. And
Yeah.
our women, are they there yet? Not yet, right?
Right.
That's why they're coming to us. That's why we want
Right.
to see them, so we can
That's
have that
right.
conversation and call them into
Call
question about
them
how
higher.
they've been
Yeah.
living. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
How do I
good.
find the thing that disproves what I've believed my whole life for the sake of rounding myself out and be that's what courage is, right? It's that I don't know and everything's not secure, but I step off the ledge anyway. That's
Because I
what looking
trust
to
myself.
disprove is. I trust myself.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I would say for my women, it's also helping them have the courage to choose.
Okay. Okay.
Because we, even as it comes to health, we think, okay, just because my grandmother had diabetes or my mom had diabetes, like I will succumb to that too. And
Yeah.
then becomes then comes in the fear, right? And then fear will have you stay stagnant. And so you're here worrying about what could be
Yeah.
without, taking action or even deciding to learn more, right? It's just like,
Yeah.
I'm going to succumb to it too. And that's what it is. And
Gotcha.
so it's also having the courage to choose, like, oh no, I choose that this is going to be a different health legacy that I'm going to create. I
Mhm.
choose to operate my day in a way that honors my pillars of health. And
Okay.
so it's also having that courage to choose, like, I'm going to operate my health differently. And just because I've seen my mom work hard, right? Just because I've seen how hard she worked to put food on the table, doesn't mean that I have to run myself the same way to
Yeah.
have the life that I deserve, right? Like,
Right.
I can choose pillars of health that I adhere by. That's going to create a joyful, prosperous, active life for me.
Mhm.
And so,
Mhm.
I see that also in health as well.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. Okay, so I want to shift a little bit, right, to because I feel like the first part of the conversation has been like around awareness, right? But what I also know to be true from experience is that one of the, I think, hardest realizations to come into is like, it's actually possible to build a life that everybody admires, yet you are secretly like feeling either like a fraud or feeling trapped by it, right? Like you just know, you just have that knowing that like it's not fully you. um and so I want to hear from you all, from your various perspectives of mental health and physical health, and even for you, Stephanie, from like the career angle. Like, what would you say are some of the signs that success has become a cage for women, or when did you know that success had become a cage? Okay, listen, before y'all answer, I'm gonna tell you when I knew. When I knew that it became a cage was when I was working in the university and I had to get approval for maternity leave. And then I had to check in with them about when I was coming back. And it felt so just restrictive. Like, I was like, I don't want to be asking somebody if I can take more time to be with my baby. Like, what? Like, I waited a long time to become a mom. Like, I'm not doing that, you know? And I wanted to quit then, right? And my husband was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, let's just take some more months off and then we can regroup and decide, right? But it was this feeling of like, just feeling like, like I can't be free. Like I can't flourish and do the things that I really want to do. And it just didn't feel right. Right. And I knew it, right? I knew it was time. And so then when I did go back, I just had a plan of when I was going to transition out. But like for you all, like either personally or in your work, like what do you see? What happens? What are some of those signs that success is like now a cage?
Yeah, I can go. So I remember I remember when I hit that moment as well, and it was when I graduated from sports medicine fellowship. That was in 2021.
Okay.
And at that time, I was an attending physician and I was looking for my, big girl attending physician job. And because I graduated from sports medicine fellowship in a pandemic, sports wasn't happening. So they weren't hiring sports medicine physicians. Like that
Okay.
was just like the market was closed.
Okay.
And and it was either I went into primary care or hospitalist medicine
Okay.
with given the training that I had. And I was like, I don't want to do any of those things. I want to, work within sports medicine. And so, I had to make a decision because I applied everywhere, like literally applied everywhere, and even walked into sports medicine practices with my resume in hand.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
because I was like, I'm exhausting all my options
Yeah.
because I don't want to do primary care and I don't want to do hospital medicine.
Okay.
And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be a travel doctor because with being a travel doctor, I get to choose, I get to decide what I want to do. And so with going into, that realm of medicine, being a travel doctor, there were primary care opportunities, but I was very creative. And I was like, okay, I will do primary care, but I'm also going to market my services as a sports medicine physician. And I mostly practice in rural areas where there weren't a lot of sports medicine physicians, right? It
Okay.
was mostly orthopedic surgeons. So they were mostly operative, and I'm not operative. And you
Okay.
don't always need to go to an operative surgeon. Sometimes you need to start
Okay.
non-operatively. And
Okay.
so I went into these primary care practices and I marketed myself as a sports medicine physician. I said, these are the list of conditions that I can treat. These are the procedures that I can do. And I like created my hybrid practice
Okay.
by being a travel doctor. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, like that type of creativity and that out of box thinking,
Yeah.
it requires a lot of deep work because no one told me to do that. But deep down inside, I was like, I am not going to be a W-2 primary care physician because I know I have seen it. And I was just like, I
Yeah.
just don't want any parts of that life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I was like, I want to be able to create something of my own. And that's what I've done.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Anybody else want to share from personal or from clients?
I'll share my experience. So when I started BGG Enterprises back in 2016, I instantly became a member of No Days Off. Like that was the big thing back then. Hashtag No Days Off. And so
Yeah.
I have that mantra, and it made me feel good because I'm just like, oh, there's never a day off for me. Like I'm always grinding, I'm always hustling, and I
Yeah.
wore it as a badge of honor. But then I realized I'm working so hard, and I hadn't taken a vacation in like 6 years. And
Oh,
so
wow.
in that moment, I'm like, wait a second, I have not taken a vacation in a very long time. If I'm working so hard, what am I working so hard for if I never have time to actually
Mm,
enjoy it? And so
mhm.
it was more so as an entrepreneur, I had to take a step back and realize that I was so focused on what it feels like to achieve and reach all these pinnacles of success. I forgot to really take time to enjoy it and go vacation. I love vacationing. I didn't do it because I was so busy grinding and believing if I took a day off, it would hurt my business, right? Which most women probably
Right.
feel who are watching this. But all that to say is that even as an entrepreneur, my success became a cage because it stopped me from being able to do the one thing that I was really working hard to do, and that
Yeah.
was to go vacation and enjoy the world around me.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. And I feel like, Stephanie, even in the work that I've done in coaching women in scaling to 6-figure, 7-figure businesses, that is one of the main traps of entrepreneurship, right? Like they take the leap and then they end up working more and harder in their business than they did when they were at their 9 to 5. And it's like, it literally just becomes a cage and you can't, and it's so hard to escape it unless you have outside eyes or you have that, like you have that deep level of self awareness to be like, man, I just built myself another cage. like, like I thought I was free, but this don't feel like freedom. But people do it. They do it all the time. And instead of trying a different strategy, instead of getting support, getting a coach, joining a group, right, with other entrepreneurs, they just push harder. They just like work harder. And it's like, that is not the answer. It's not the answer. So, oh man, I know it. I feel it. What you got to say?
Oh man, just a trajectory that looks so much like Stephanie's. I'm like, oh man, here she is. I better share because she's confronted me here. It's you. I mean, I went from, working in hospital, which is the environment is it requires of you
Mhm.
constantly. It requires of you. And I'm talking about the busiest, right? Emergency departments, right?
Yeah.
Doing, assessments and treating patients in the height of crises. And so
Yeah.
you have to be on, and it requires everything of you. It requires that you're
Mhm.
present, and that I used to say and be proud of saying, like, what do you mean? the hospital owns my body. Like if they want me to take a shot, if they want me to do this, if they want me to be the flu shot, the
Oh,
COVID shot,
wow.
if they want me to do all these things, of course I'm going to do it. I got to keep these patients safe. I'm the hospital's, method
Right.
and the front line to help these patients. And
Yeah.
working all the time and having to get all these approvals for vacation, not just one approval, but having to make sure when you got close to vacation that everything was still good and making sure that there's coverage all the time, going in on days off because I personally knew my colleague who was calling out and I didn't want them to be reflected on poorly. So I'm like, let me take their shift so it's covered
Mm,
and the patients don't
jeez.
suffer. Constantly
Jeez.
trading so many hours of your life for a mission that is so much bigger than you, first off, and also will continue after you. There was this mentality that I am the line, I am it, this savior complex. That's the cage, right? That's the
Okay.
manifestation of my cage. It's here
Yeah.
is your unwellness, where you think you are what stands between a patient doing well and not doing and completely failing or not
Right.
being well in their life. I
Yeah.
went from being in hospital to creating for Love and Psych, my own business, my own model of how healthcare is done. And yes, working that into the ground, working because I was still in hospital and in this dream, needing to create
Right.
the framework for it. It
Yeah.
was 7 days a week nonstop. And
Mm.
clients who could get a hold of you via cell phone. I would answer texts, sometimes stuff in my dreams. I'd be like sleeping and a patient would text for something that
Girl.
was meant for the morning, and I'm like,
Girl.
no, like legitimate. I had to turn the ribbons off my phone. I had to make sure my phone's always on silent. If
Yeah.
you're getting me, it's because
Same.
I'm like,
Yep. Same.
the phone is somewhere near, or because
Yep.
like I know it's about a time when you're
Yeah.
calling or something. But yeah, I
Yeah.
can't even, there was so much unlearning that was required to understand that I
Mhm.
have definitely caged myself. I've caged myself in my own narratives and my own
Wow.
personal design of like, this doesn't get done unless I do it. And if I'm
Yeah.
not there for people and showing up for people, they are going to suffer. And I cannot palate that they would suffer because I didn't do my job. I didn't do my work. And it holds me back. It was holding me back from so many things. I'm a
Wow.
writer. I like to write. I want to be inside of my experiences. And instead of being in that, I'm learning the stuff to make sure that I show up well. It's like, that's not fun learning. That's not a
Yeah.
great relationship to knowledge and connection and growth. That's doing what needs to be done so I'm competent consistently. And that is a cage. It is a cage.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus. Woo! Listen. Look, y'all hitting on all of the things, okay, that show up in that journey, right? It's real, right? There's no shame in it. So as y'all are watching, right? Like we not here as just experts. Like we have lived this. We have had to do the work to unlearn, to deconstruct our cages, and sometimes built second cages that we had to deconstruct. so it is a learning process. Okay, we have not yet arrived. So as we think about that, right, like when you recognize it, right, like okay, the life could look shiny and beautiful on the outside, but on the inside you could literally be crumbling. um how do you think, like, or what maybe did it take for you, or what would you suggest or see with your clients of like what helped make that shift of like realizing that you don't need to keep proving, or like from Jeannie's point of like you're not the savior, you don't need to be the hero, um to recognizing like I just needed to heal, right? And one of the things that I um teach in my community, which is often very jarring for people, is I often talk about the cup and the saucer. You know how everybody says like you can't pour from an empty cup. And when I do it in presentations and I show the picture of the cup, everybody's like, because I have a type A plus students, right? They're always like, yeah, I know what that means. You can't pour from an empty cup. And I often have to stop them and I say, no, you actually are never pouring from your cup. Never, ever, ever pouring from the cup, because filling the cup is the only job that you can do. So your only job is to keep filling the cup. And you know what happens when you keep filling the cup? Those who are in close enough proximity to you that are on the saucer are naturally blessed by the overflow. You don't even have to worry about it. It's going to happen. There's no way that it can't happen. Right? If they're in close enough proximity to you, they will be blessed by it. One of the things though is trust. Right? You have to trust that you staying full, you doing only the job that you can do, is naturally going to benefit those connected to you. And that does require a mind shift. And it also requires high levels of self-awareness to course correct when you find yourself pouring your cup out because you love them, because you have a long relationship with them, because they're your mama, because, right? Like all of these things and all these reasons, and all of this conditioning that makes you feel like you should be pouring your cup. Never pour the cup. All right. So as you think about that, right? Like what does living from wholeness actually look like when the cup is overflowing? And I would love for any of you to respond, all of you if you want, but what comes up for you when we talk about that, like being able to really show up in that way?
Yeah. So, I think about, my patients, and I also have clients, they are very high achieving. And they will either come to me because they want to lose weight or, they want to gain muscle. And they think that, okay, if I just like exercise more or if I just eat healthy, I'm going to figure it out. And they're at a point where, like, oh, I can't figure it out. So I need help. And so
Mhm.
that's when they come to me. And so a lot of it, I mean, there's the medical part, right?
Yeah.
And so there's me evaluating their labs and, assessing risk factors and things like that. But then there's like also this mindset part that I'm also
Mm.
working on. And so when it comes to their mindset, that surrounds their health, a lot of them are like, okay, everything depends on me. And so I like this depends on me, so I have to do it all. And what ends up happening is that they end up like burning themselves out, and so they're not able to function
Yeah.
optimally.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is impacted in their sleep, right? And so
Mm.
they will lie their head down, but they are thinking about all the things that they have not done during their day and thinking
Mm.
about, oh, I should respond to that email. Oh, I shouldn't have said that in that email. Or,
Mm.
oh, I forgot to do this at work, right? And so they're like replaying all these things, and they end up in in a place of like threat where their body is not safe enough to
Mm.
fully rest.
Wow.
And with that, I have to help them um figure out, okay, like what is your actual threat right now? Like, why do you feel so threatened to actually, rest? And it comes down to like things that they may have experienced as a child, right? Where
Mm.
like when they were a child, they seen like their parents that constantly work hard. And so they
Mm.
also carry on that same hardworking mentality. And so it's difficult for them to fully rest because that's what they've seen all their life. And it's back to like, that conditioning, right? It's just
Yeah.
like, okay, like I'm conditioned to work hard, so I can't even sleep. It's like you're
Right.
working hard like while you're sleeping.
Jeez.
you know
Jeez.
And so
Yes.
and all of that, ties back into their health because, with the sleep deprivation that they're experiencing, they're, increasing their cortisol. That is also increasing their insulin. That is
Mm.
promoting excess fat storage. That
Jeez.
excess fat storage is creating more insulin resistance, and then becomes a vicious cycle, right? And
Yeah.
so that is that's contributing to their inability to lose weight. And so
Wow.
um part of my work is helping them understand, okay, what is their threat to, actually resting if their problem is with their sleep. And then it goes back to the courage to choose, okay, what do you want your life to look like? Like,
Mhm.
how do you want to function differently than from your mother, for example,
Right.
right? And it's like, okay, like what legacy, what health legacy are you creating, so that like when your kids look to you, they see a woman who learns to thrive just as she is, not having to constantly work at the expense of
So good.
herself,
So
right?
good. So
And
good.
so,
Yes.
and it's, creating that new pattern, that new dynamic of health, and, having your children, or even if you don't have children, you have nieces, nephews, other family members who are
Yep.
watching you, how you interact with your health and create a new legacy. And so it comes down to, breaking patterns down, and then creating new ones.
Love that. I love that. Anybody else want to chime in on that point?
I'll share. For me, I think with a lot of the women who come to me focusing on executive search, for me, wholeness looks like they're not operating in desperation anymore. And when I say desperation, because
Love that.
when women come to me, and there's nothing wrong with it, but they're job hopping because they're looking for an escape, right? So they're looking for the next job, but they're never looking for their job when they're happy and whole. They're looking whenever they're in a bind or they're in a desperate situation where I got to get out tomorrow. I need to figure something else out. And so I
Right.
think if they can reach a level of wholeness where they're not desperate or operating in desperation, then they're not showing up to Jeannie burned out, right? They're not showing up to Dr. J because they're feeling the tension in their body manifested, or they're not showing up to you, Dr. Tiana, saying, hey, I got to focus on my 9 to 5 because I can't afford to trade right now because I'm desperate to keep my job, right? And so I think
Yes.
the moment you can abandon the desperation, the quicker you can get to that place of wholeness, because there's nothing that can happen that can sway you in one direction or the other.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, that's so good.
That's
That's so
beautiful.
good.
I love
That's so,
how you,
I feel like that's so rooted in fear too,
yes,
like
in such a
where,
big way.
like fear
Yeah.
that you may not be provided for, or
Mhm. Right.
that you may run out of, that there may not be enough, and really what that is a scarcity mindset.
Yep.
And it's something that it's not real. Like the world is abundant. Like there's always more than enough. You will always have what you need. You will always be provided for. And I think that fear can just be so debilitating
It
sometimes.
is. And if anything matches and confirms it around you, it makes it very easy to lean in, because we can say, and I sometimes say this to clients as well. I said, you do realize that for every day that you've lived up to now and meeting me, you've had everything you need. Everything has gotten you here to this point. Like you're so worried
So
about,
good.
like
So
this
good.
heightened level of destitution, but even in your
Yes.
worst, even in what has felt so awful for you, you still have had every single thing that you've needed to get you here to this point. And that's a testament to the abundance within this life and to, your experiences and this beautiful universe and whatever you believe in, really supporting you, divinely and getting and being your best. It's difficult. So
Yeah.
many people that we got some comments in the chart here. I just want to say, Melissa's saying the title of this conversation drew me right in because it's so true. And she said, abandoning desperation is so good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we're looking for. When I'm gonna move into, my own clientele and myself just as a whole,
Yeah.
when I recognized that I was inside of wholeness rather than, tying ambition or achievements to my identity, I started to I reflected different. My clients reflect different. They're not reflecting upon themselves using achievement staples. They're not reflecting upon themselves utilizing productivity language or status language or usefulness. They are
Yeah.
in this space of, these are empty, these are unstable. And they were
Right.
inside of
Yeah.
when they got better, this like sort of discomfort, sure, and this kind of wobbling around. But I started to hear them build identity and center themselves from the perspective of their own curiosity. of their own kindness, of courage, of how they related inside of friendship and family, how there's a
Yes.
playfulness that I live inside of when I am attached to my truest sense of self and identity. There is a
Yeah.
courage that I can see very clearly that's very much like I don't have to be anything. I'm already everything that I was ever meant to be. And it is an incredible thing to exist as that and to remind myself of that, you know. And when things go poorly, I'm not inside of this mindset of I'm failing. You know, I'm inside of the more accurate, which is like this outcome, it matters to me. It means a lot to me, clearly,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not a verdict on my worth by any means. Like sometimes I like really smash the pavement. I'm like, damn, well, I bit that, like for real, you know? And I
Yeah.
jumped big and it did not, did not yield the tangible dividends that I hoped for.
Yeah.
However, when I did it, when I made the decisions, everything that I created inside of it, I stand behind fully.
Mm.
And I see myself inside of that courage and inside of the integrity of like I'm not going to try to make this up or hide this. I'm going to let people see me inside of what happened. And it's a very different experience of life and self when that is the vantage point you are coming from. It is the vantage point of wholeness. And also you're able to identify, you know, sort of like the withdrawal symptoms that come in making those types of decisions, right? Because we
Yeah.
experience guilt and we think, oh, it's bad or wrong. You know, guilt in resting or guilt in not taking certain opportunities that have a lot of money attached or in setting boundaries for people, right? We think,
Yep.
oh, the guilt must mean I'm not doing the right things, or the shame must mean, you know, that I'm choosing wrong. And that's not necessarily the truth. You know, it
Right.
means actually we are challenging old rules. I had to
Yeah.
violate. For me, it takes like, and it's wild to say this aloud, but it's the truth of me. I need to like legitimately violate the old rules. I need to break them so strongly in order to
Mm-hmm.
move, and I need to do it several times. You know, I had to
Yep.
like travel across the world, be in Costa Rica, in temples with no phone and no access, praying and trying to understand what was in here for me to like take the space. I'm
Mm.
not going to take it 2 seconds away from my computer. I'm just not.
Yeah.
I had to do the big thing first, and then
Yeah.
I could do the small thing. Where some people are, they're very good with the gradual. They're like, I will just gradually set boundaries and I'll build new neural pathways that'll begin making those decisions more
Yep.
readily. Not me. I need to break the chains hard and fast. And I had to decide and I had to move and it had to be big or it wasn't going to happen for me. So
Mm.
that's when I
That's
started to see
real.
I was fighting for myself and for my own wholeness, is when I was like, I know it's going to cost me. It's going to cost me a lot of money. It's going to cost me time. It's going to cost people thinking I'm like crazy.
Yeah.
But I got whatever's here. It just keeps calling to me and I have to fight for her.
Mm. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's so good. Thank you for sharing that. That's real. Jeez, that is the journey. That is the work. That is the work. That is the work that we're sent here to do. Um, oh, so good. So good. So I would love to end with this today. So as we have these beautiful women watching, but also those who, as we know, are busy women are coming back to watch the replay. And if she's watching, right, and she has the degrees, the career, the income, the title, um, and everyone believes she's successful, yet privately, we know that she's exhausted. She's wondering if this is it. She's feeling, like Jeannie said, that pull that there is something more uh, beyond just maintaining what she's built, right? What would be the one sentence that you would want her to remember today?
I'll start.
Okay.
The one thing I would leave them with is even if you don't achieve anything else, you are enough.
Mm, I love that. That's beautiful. Enoughness. Yes. We all need that reminder. Yes. Thank you.
I love that so much that I'm gonna piggyback off that because I think I'm gonna take it even a step further because I live inside of the extremes and that's what's helped me in my life, right? I had to be able to contend with the escape from exceptionalism. So I would tell her,
Okay.
try to live inside of this understanding that ordinariness is okay.
Yeah.
Weaken the bond between this idea that you've got to have this heightened visibility and this exceptional performance, that this is necessary for existence to feel meaningful inside of my most ordinary moments, inside of my most ordinary state. In the heart of my authenticity is a perfect
Mm,
being who deserves at all times. I do not have to be exceptional to be loved deeply and cherished deeply by those around me, by God, by myself.
mhm,
Be
mhm.
get to the center of this. Try to see yourself. If I was just an ordinary being, do I still see myself as love, as worth? Do I still see myself as worthwhile?
Yeah.
And if you can say yes, then go up from that point
Yeah.
and find the
Flourish.
exceptionalism and flourish.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But in my most ordinary state, I'm everything I've ever needed to be.
Come on, girl. So good. Dr.
Yeah.
J, what you got?
I would say it is time to address what what you are afraid of. A lot of times, I mean, I could spin this so many different ways,
Yeah.
but even on the outside, you are successful, but inside, your health is being sacrificed. You have lack of energy. You're not sleeping.
Mm,
Putting on weight, and it's much easier to chase what is easier, right? To
yeah.
consist working and to consistently produce and to consistently show up for others, but inside you are disintegrating, right? You are like
Mm,
inside. And so a lot of times, women are thinking, okay, it's going to cost me. It's going to cost me, not having the level of success in my work that I know and that I love. But inside, it's literally costing you your life, right? It's costing you your life.
gee.
It's costing you your health. And
Yeah.
so, for that woman, I would say it's time. It's time to address what you're afraid of.
Wow. It's time. It's time, friends. It's time. You got to do it. You got to do it.
You
Let's
think,
see.
Dr. T? Yeah. What you got?
My final thoughts would be something that I want you to know. I want you to know that desire is divine and it means of the Father.
Mhm.
And so if you have that thing that just won't go away, that keeps nagging at you that there's more, you're not being ungrateful, you're not being too much. It is the indication that it is available to you. And the only thing that's stopping you is you. That's it. If you have the desire, that means it's yours. And it's always our job. God is practical, right? So he will often show you the vision. And then it's your job to figure out the steps to get there and trust that he will give you that direction and that affirmation and the assurance that you're on the right path. But God cannot bless steps that you don't take. And so if you stay in that kind of fear based place and you are just afraid to move, afraid to start over, afraid to tear it down, afraid to rebuild it, right? You just stay stuck and you just keep having that nagging and it just gets louder and louder. It doesn't get quieter. I hate to tell you, it doesn't get quieter. It just gets louder. so, and so, and so, I want you to just sit with that, right? That it's available to you. So those are any other final thoughts before we sign off for the day. All right. Well, thank y'all, ladies. This was beautiful.
That was
So
beautiful. So lovely.
yeah. So what I want y'all, to be very clear about, right? Because I'm clear as kind, and I like to always let y'all know what our intentions are, what I'm hoping to see, right? I do not want you to take today's conversation as we are saying you have to choose healing or success, right? What I want to anchor in you today is the truth that there is an order, and that healing does not make success less important. It makes it sustainable. Okay. So I have learned from experience, you have heard from these ladies' experiences, right? The goal is not to build a beautiful life while you are falling apart, right? The goal is to become whole enough to get capacity so that everything that you've worked so hard to build flows from abundance and not depletion, and not fear, and not angst or anxiety or hustling or being more than what you really need to be, right? And that is also why Wealthy and Worthy exist, our show, but also our gathering. We are gathering our community together this August here in Atlanta to, as Jeannie mentioned today, pin down those solutions, right? It's not enough to just point it out and say, hey, these are the pain points. No, 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 no. We are saying these are some solutions. Take some notes from our playbooks, add it to yours, and come up with your own strategy of what you want to do. All right. And we'll be here cheering you on, rooting you on, celebrating you the entire way. Right. But wealth is more than your bank account, friend. Okay. It's your health, your relationships, your peace of mind, ease, purpose, community, and the ability, like Stephanie mentioned, to experience life, the life that you actually work so hard to build. Right? So if this conversation has spoken to you directly, do not ignore it, okay? Because sometimes clarity is not something you find. Sometimes it's you just finally stop running from the truth, okay? And so Wealthy and Worthy in person in Atlanta, August 21st through the 23rd is where we'll be doing that work. We're going to be talking about healing, strategy, community, relationships, purpose. It's all coming together. And so if you're ready to stop just acting like it's good, but actually come and make sure that it is good, we would love to have you there. So go check out our site at wealthyworthy.org to grab your seat. And if you're watching live, drop healing in the comments if you want us to send you more deets. All right. So thank you for spending your Wednesday afternoon with us as always. And we will see you next week, same place, same time, for another Wealthy Worthy. So have the best week, guys. Bye.